Thank you. Thank you for inviting me today. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Oralee, and I'm very happy and honored to be here today with you. And I'm quite surprised that I see a lot of foreign students here today in Korea. I'm here today as a representative of KSGI. Has anyone ever heard of SGI before? No? Oh, great. So this is the first, for most of you, this is the first time that you hear about SGI. So at least you won't be bored, right? Okay, so I hope this will be a great opportunity for you to have a great insight, deep understanding of our organization, which I treasure the most. So my presentation today consists of 3 parts. First, I'm going to tell you what we are, what kind of organization we SGI are, and then I will explain to you what we do, what kind of activities and campaigns that we do as an organization to contribute to our community and respective societies. And lastly, the peace, culture, and education activities and campaigns that we do, SGI does on a global and national level. So first, what is SGI? SGI is a lay Buddhist organization which stands for Soka Gakkai International. Soka Gakkai meaning Value Creation Society. And our collective goal is to realize world peace through each person becoming happy. As our SGI President Daisaku Ikeda states, a great human revolution in just one single individual will help to change the destiny of a nation and further will enable a change in the destiny of all humankind. That is to say, a profound change in the inner life of one single individual, just one person, can be the start of a change, to transform the whole societies, helping us move toward the direction, the ideal world in which everybody can live in dignity, security, and happiness. And this perspective is at the heart of SGI, and we place great emphasis and stress on the power of one person, one individual, to help to change the whole society. So the purpose of my presentation today is to show you how we SGI members have been applying this noble ideal into our real world in everyday life, and also make you, the young leaders of our future, believe that you have a great potential, not only to change for your life, but to change the whole world. So as there is a saying, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So I prepared a short video, and we'll talk more after this video.
Every day, over 6.5 billion people around the world go about their daily lives. People whose color, culture, occupation or lifestyle sometimes appear so very different that on the surface they may seem to have very little in common. Yet they inhabit the same planet and breathe the same air. They share a common humanity. It is this common humanity that the 2,500-year-old faith of Buddhism embraces and reveres. Every single person alive today is unique, and each person's life has limitless possibilities. Yet our world is filled with conflict and suffering. Buddhism came into being as a response to human suffering, and to enable men and women to reveal their full potential. Some perceive Buddhism as a solitary, meditative religion. But the Buddhism practiced by the members of the global lay organization, SGI, Soka Gakkai International, is dynamic, yet grounded in the realities of daily life.
Buddha means enlightened one, enlightened to the true nature of life. The Buddha, Shakyamuni, was born a prince in the subcontinent of India 2,500 years ago. The four universal sufferings, in the shape of birth, old age, sickness and death, shocked the young Shakyamuni, and he set out from his palace determined to find a solution. After a long, austere search, he had the enlightened realization that our inability to grasp the true nature of life was at the root of human suffering. Through learning how to access life's unlimited potential, humanity could transcend suffering and establish a solid, indestructible happiness. Shakyamuni traveled around India for many years, sharing his enlightened wisdom. His numerous orally transmitted teachings, known as sutras, recorded after his death, spread throughout Asia, transforming the lives of millions of people. But in time, Shakyamuni's teachings became fragmented and ritualized, often losing sight of the original intention of Buddhism to alleviate suffering. In 13th century Japan, a young priest called Nichiren began to question why people suffered and why social oppression and natural disasters continued to occur in a society that upheld the Buddhist faith. He studied all the available sutras in search of the essence of Shakyamuni Buddha's teachings, and found what he was looking for in the life-affirming philosophy of the Lotus Sutra. The roots submerged in the depths of a muddy pond are capable of producing the pure lotus flower. Likewise, all human beings, according to the Lotus Sutra, equally possess the pure life state of Buddhahood. A Buddha is not a transcendent being, but an ordinary person, able to challenge and overcome their own and others' suffering through manifesting wisdom, courage, compassion, and vitality. To enable all people to activate this state of Buddhahood, Nichiren established the practice of chanting the phrase Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, which he identified as being the expression of the fundamental law of life. He was adamant that chanting it would release the vast potential dormant in the heart of every single person, improving their own lives and the lives of other people. Nichiren's efforts to empower ordinary people and free them from suffering angered the feudal authorities, and he endured a lifetime of persecution. But his conviction in the Lotus Sutra and Nam-myoho Renge-kyo never wavered.
Buddhism respects and embraces life. All life. Whatever our differences, Buddhist philosophy maintains that we are inextricably linked to one another and to the planet we all inhabit. Causing harm to other people or to the natural world that sustains life will inevitably have a negative impact upon our own lives. For SGI, every existence on Earth is a dignified and unique expression of life, with untold possibilities.
The founder and first president of this lay Buddhist organization was Tsunesaburo Makaguchi, a Japanese educator dedicated to reforming the repressive and nationalistic education system. Makaguchi advocated a more humanistic approach to learning, encouraging children to lead creative, fulfilled lives and make a positive contribution to society. In Nichiren's Buddhism, he discovered a philosophy that both reflected and revitalized his thinking. And in 1930, he founded the Soka Gakkai, the Society for the Creation of Value. When the Second World War broke out, the military authorities imposed oppressive laws upon the Japanese people. All dissent was ruthlessly suppressed. Makaguchi was imprisoned for opposing the policies of the militarist government. He died in prison in 1944. Imprisoned alongside Makaguchi was his fellow educator and closest supporter, Josei Toda. Released from prison in 1945, Toda worked tirelessly to reconstruct the Soka Gakkai organization into a broad-based, grassroots Buddhist movement that offered a message of hope and empowerment in the devastation, poverty and despair of post-war Japan. With Toda as second president, the organization rapidly expanded. He encouraged its members to take up the challenge of human revolution, a process of self-mastery whereby a positive change in the inner life of an individual is reflected in their external environment and ultimately in society itself. Toda was determined to see an end to war. In 1957, he made an impassioned appeal for the abolition of nuclear weapons, which he believed were a manifestation of the darkest aspects of the human heart. Achieving world peace became a fundamental aim of the organization. Constantly at Toda's side was a young man named Daisaku Ikeda, who wholeheartedly devoted himself to supporting the growth and development of the Soka Gakkai. In 1960, 2 years after Toda's death, Ikeda became its third president. This was the era of the Cold War. Global tensions were high, and the threat of nuclear devastation hung over humanity. Ikeda believed that the Lotus Sutra's message of the dignity of all life could contribute to the advancement of world peace. On the island of Guam in 1975, he helped establish a new global organization, SGI. Ikeda has also promoted dialogue between people of different countries, cultures and belief systems as a fundamental step towards building world peace. As leader of the lay Buddhist movement, he has continued to meet with leading activists and thinkers from around the world. The resulting dialogues and publications, which encompass politics, culture, philosophy and science, explore life and the universe, and seek solutions to the problems that confront our rapidly changing world. Ikeda has also founded peace research, educational and cultural institutions with a view to promoting greater mutual understanding between nations.
Since its formation, SGI has developed into an international movement with 12 million members in 190 countries and territories around the world. Each SGI organization shares the same philosophy and basic practice, but has the freedom to operate independently within the customs and laws of its own country. Respecting and celebrating individual and cultural differences is the lifeblood of SGI.
Okay, so now you're a little more familiar with our organization. So to review, the belief in deep sense of dignity, the deep value, the inherent value that we have, and the dignity of each human being, and also the interconnection and interdependence between human to human, but also human to environment are the key concepts of SGI. However, to be honest with you, we are living in a society where materialism, egoism, and all kinds of violence are so prevalent that, to be honest with you, we don't share these noble ideas in our everyday life, right? So in a sense, the goal of SGI might seem almost an impossible dream, right? But in SGI, we have a saying, never give up, which all of you are very familiar, right? We never give up on hope. We never give up on the belief, the faith in our humanity. So now I would like to show you how we SGI are awakening people, to their inner potential and educate them to actively take participation responsibilities as a world citizens in their own community, and how they engage in grassroots movement for social change. So now I have a second video ready for you. Oh, yeah, sure. Yep.
The core activity for SGI members around the world is the local discussion meeting. The monthly meeting provides a relaxed, informal space for both members and friends to share their experiences and learn more about how to apply the principles of Buddhism to their daily lives.
Discussion groups are an embodiment of the commitment to respect for other people's point of view. So one does not have to act completely isolated and alone and confused, and so one can relate to other people who are working through their problems. One can benefit from their experience, and one can contribute positive values to their experience.
SGI members around the world participate in a variety of cultural, social and educational activities that are an expression of common humanity and demonstrate a commitment to social responsibility and the promotion of world citizenship.
To be a world citizen does not mean that you have to give up your religion, your ethnicity, your nationality and so on. It means that you have to assume responsibility, global responsibility, and to understand what is going on in the world.
For SGI members, faith, practice and study are the three interdependent yet vital elements of their Buddhist practice. The daily practice consists of reciting a portion of the Lotus Sutra and chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo to activate the Buddha nature and create happiness and value for oneself and other people. Studying the writings of Nichiren, both alone and in groups, helps members to understand the principles of Buddhism and how to apply them to contemporary life. Faith involves taking action, and it's important for members to see actual proof that Buddhism is working in their day-to-day lives. SGI members consider that sharing the philosophy and practice of Buddhism with others is a compassionate act. Inner spiritual transformation, or human revolution, is the focus of an SGI member's Buddhist practice. Kosi Kubeka is currently studying for her doctorate at a university in the United States. The social and educational system Kosi was born into in South Africa deliberately discouraged black people from pursuing their goals.
Growing up in Soweto in the 1980s, this was the height of apartheid, when things were so much in upheaval, chaotic really. I ended up having a sense of powerlessness and low self-esteem, but at the same time I did have the ambition to succeed, and I saw myself as someone who was successful in the future, educated, because education is the key really. Being born in that kind of an oppressive environment, you feel like this is your destiny, and this is also something that was ingrained by people around you, that you just need to accept your circumstances because this is what you were meant to be.
Kosi decided to take responsibility for her situation.
When I started practicing, then I realized that, okay, there are so many possibilities. I can do anything I want, and my life is in my hands. So that means I have to take responsibility for myself. So that was very empowering to me.
Battling with her negative internal beliefs played a major part in Kosi's human revolution.
It felt like I had two voices. One that said that, now, who do you think you are? You're just a girl from Soweto. You should just accept your destiny because this is what you were meant to be. But then on the other hand, this burning desire to feeling that I'm capable of more. I can do more with my life. I can create value was also powerful. Life is about struggling. So you just have to decide whether you are going to win or lose. And that's what this practice has taught me, that you have the power to decide. I plan to go back to South Africa to teach at the university, but also my greatest desire is to go back and inspire other people who come from the same place that I come from, and I'm looking forward to that.
I think the Buddhist message in the SGI of cultivating with as much fervor and passion and dedication and discipline as we can our own self-awareness, that self-awareness is going to lead to what I think is the greatest glory of Buddhism, and that is compassion.
Sue Yeadon works for the English National Health Service as part of a small team that supports people in her community with the HIV virus. Sue's involvement in this area began 20 years ago when she met a young woman with the virus.
What she needed was encouragement and compassion rather than people reacting, with fear and horror and dread. And so I decided that the only way I could overcome my own fear and prejudice was to find out more about it. I remember thinking that as a Buddhist, it was time that I started to do something really meaningful in society that would make a difference somehow.
Over the last 2 years, Sue's work has taken her to Africa, where she visits children hospitalised with the virus.
When we first arrived in those hospitals, there were no children on treatment, and certainly in one of the hospitals they have nearly 100 children on treatment now. If I hadn't started practicing Buddhism, I don't think that I would have been able to develop my compassion or my courage or wisdom in the way that I've been able to.
Sure.
Okay. Anyway, thank you for the video and the introduction. Do you guys have any questions? Oh, also, I think they brought some gifts for us. So can we hand those out now?
선물.
They prepared, so we have a bunch of SGI people coming to my office. Can you hold that?
지금 부장님 좀 나눠주세요.
So can you hand those out? Yeah. Pass it one by one. Yeah. Pass it on. Keep on passing them so everybody gets one. So they gave you more books to read. Oh, joy. Okay. I love this. Like,
Thank you.
they have to meet at 2:30, so they're going to be given the first speaker, and then we can speak a little bit in the first hour and also in the last hour. Okay? All right. Yeah. 질문. Any 질문 있어요? Comments? Questions? You guys don't have any comments or questions? Okay. Anyway, I thought, one of the reasons why I invited Soka Gakkai was that, one, I think they're probably they're very dynamic and membership-oriented Buddhist organization. Because, as you know, like most Buddhist organizations are very kind of like top-down, very priest-oriented. But this is, this is kind of like a Protestant version of the Buddhism, okay? And number two, when I was participating in Chicago SGI every year we did the Gay Pride Parade. So this was one of we had a lot of gay Buddhists in Chicago. So I thought that was very interesting. And then that can be one of the questions today. We have gay Buddhists in Korea. Okay? All right. What's your name? Yeah, come on up. Sorry. Yeah, come on up. What's your question? Okay. Thank you. 이것만 좀 빼주세요.
할까요?
Okay, Ricardo. Okay. Everybody say hi, Ricardo. Hi, Ricardo. Okay. Yes. So, yeah, ask.
Okay. I was able to hear a lot of times in the video that SGI says that talking about Buddhism is an act of compassion, and I wanted to know why you think that it's an act of compassion.
Because
You can just do that. Yeah. Okay, you can. It's fine. It's on. 얘기해도 돼요.
yeah, okay. The belief is very religious, belief. For example, if I have a friend who's suffering right now because of, various issues, right? But in SGI, there are a lot of members who have overcome their personal problems with our faith, chanting Nam-myoho Renge-kyo. So, like when there's someone who's suffering, you can help that person with a tangible help, right? Tangible support. But we believe that each person has her, kind of destiny, right? Something to change fundamentally, and the only way to change that fundamental negativity is, through our faith in Namyo Horengekyo, and that's why, we kind of share our Buddhism. And the reason that each member really does so is because they have their own experience of overcoming their problems. Did I answer your question?
Yep. Okay, great, thank you. Any other questions? Come on. Come on, they all these speakers, they came all the way here, and they brought heavy books. Or any comment or question? I can bring the mic to you. Okay. You want to come up or? Sure.
I'm just curious how you found out about this organization. What brought you to the organization? About your personal story.
Personal experience, right? I was born into this practice. My parents started this Buddhism because they had their own problems, right? Financial and health problems. But actually, when I was in college, that's when I really deeply considered the issue, what's the purpose of my life? And I was always educated to contribute to society, right? But at the same time, when you're young and when you're universities, you have two voices, right? You want to success, you want to gain all these things, but at the same time, to work for the society or work for the bigger world is kind of conflict, right? At that time, I really, really deeply chanted about it and really thought about it and how I, as a person, can contribute to the world peace, And that's why I went to the Soka University of America, which is founded by our President Taisaku Ikeda. And, I can confidently tell you that deep from my heart that I have this faith that I want to contribute to world. I mean, you can have money, you can have fame, you can have all the powers in the world, but to me, there is another way of living and another way of view that I can do more for the people and the society.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Yes. Go ahead.
I just want to know whether Soka Gakkai extends peace with other species as well and promote vegetarianism.
Promote vegetarianism.
Yes. Do you kill eggs?
Well, actually, in SGI, we don't have very strict rules of diet or anything. So in the States, I lived in the States in New York, and I saw a lot of vegans, actually, members who were vegans. So yeah.
But not in Korea?
Yeah, I mean, you know that Korea is not that diverse as America.
Because they need that chimek.
Yeah. But philosophically, we really value the life of not only person but every species or environment. As I told you, we really cared this interdependence relationship between human to human and human to nature. That's why we are engaged in a lot of environmental activities.
Do you have a lot of, you're from Hong Kong?
No, Indonesia.
Oh, Indonesia.
I study in Singapore.
Singapore, that's fine. Is there a big vegetarian movement in Indonesia or Singapore?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Stronger
That's
than
why.
Korea. I think in Korea it's hard to survive as a vegetarian.
I don't know how you can do broccoli mac.
I am vegetarian.
Oh, you are vegetarian?
Yeah, and I'm finding it very hard to survive. But it's okay.
Okay. Help her. Stop giving her chicken. That's interesting. But yeah, that's one thing I found when I was in America. So we have a lot of Buddhists that are vegans.
Vegans, right. Especially in California, I met more.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? If not, I have one. Our first class is international organization. The second class is civil society, and for example, so we're interested in religion as an international organization that brings different people together, and I know Soka Gakkai is very interesting because it was founded in Japan, but it's very popular in Korea. Okay. So how do you deal with these like historical problems?
Korean and Japan
Right.
problems.
So like, do you guys ever talk about 덕도, like 우리 땅, or I don't know. We have a Japanese student. Hello. Okay. Hi. Anyway, how do you say 우리 땅 in Japanese? He has to think about it. I guess they don't really care about 덕도 in Japan. Anyway, so do you guys talk about issues like 덕도 or comfort women or these other historical like justice issues?
Yeah, actually, I myself found it very interesting because, beside SGI Japan, SGI Korea has the biggest membership around the world. I mean, we are in 192 countries. But even though we have this really tough relationship with Japan, we have a lot of membership in Korea. And the president of our organization, SGI Daisaku Ikeda, has been talking a lot about the correct history and the correct view of history between Korea and Japan. And he is the one who consistently written the peace proposal regarding Korean issue. So we don't get really involved in political issues,
Okay.
but we promote correct historical view.
Has President Kida taken a stance on the comfort women? Like, should Japan like apologize and give money? Has he talked about
He
that?
has been always talking about, like Korea is the country which really transcended the culture and education, to Japan, and he has publicly, apologized, what Japanese militarism has done to Korea.
Okay. But he doesn't say 덕도 우리 땅?
No, not that,
Not that-
the detail.
Not that detail. Okay. Come on, tough questions like that. I want to hear. Anybody else? Yes. Oh, you're stretching. Okay. Oh, this is a minor question, but on Tuesday we talked about the fact that most NGOs in North Korea they're actually religious. We talked about that, right? Does SGI has any presence in North Korea?
There are members, but we don't have a formal organization
Oh,
in
really?
North
Okay.
Korea.
But you do have SGI members in North Korea?
Yeah, I mean, I have friends, Japanese friends, who went to North Korea for the job. So there are members, but it's not like we promote the activities there.
Okay.
Yeah.
But there's no like organization.
No,
there?
no.
Oh, I see. Oh, that's interesting.
Even for like China, there are members in China, but because of these political issues in China, we don't form a formal group. We don't have a formal organization.
Right. Because in China you only have the official churches.
Right.
So,
It's just like in the same.
so do you have an underground church, or it's not
No.
even that organized?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Right. I guess they don't go all the way like that. They don't go underground like the Christians do. Okay, great. Anything else? Yes. You want to come up? I'll just be there. Okay.
What are the possibilities for students to meet the Zen Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh, the Vietnamese Zen Buddhist monk?
Zen Buddhist monk.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not that familiar with Zen Buddhism.
Yeah. But I thought maybe you knew him, and my following question was, how could a non-Buddhist follower meet him?
I didn't understand your question.
There's a Vietnamese Buddhist monk. His name is Thich Nhat Hanh, and I thought maybe you knew him, so that was my question. Yes.
Yeah. I guess Buddhism is like Christian. They're so
Right.
So
But actually, in the not in Korea, but actually in other countries, have symposiums with other religious leaders. And President Keda, our president of the organization, has led a lot of dialogue with other religious leaders.
Oh, I see. So you might have to contact the Vietnamese chapter. See if they have any local connections. Because this is a Korean chapter. Okay. And how many members do you have in Korea for SGI?
Over 100만 명? Over 150 million and a half.
Okay, so 1.5 million. Oh, that's a good number. And how about in Japan?
In Japan, over 일본은 1,000. 1,000몇 명? 천만 명?
Would that be like 10
Like
million?
10 million?
Okay.
Yeah, because 12 million around the
What?
world.
1 million people?
100만 is 1 million. 100만 is 1 million.
Okay. So in Japan, SGI has how many members?
10 million? 10 million? 10
And
million.
then in Korea, about 1.5 million. Okay. Numbers get very complicated. Okay. All right. Is there anything else? Okay. Then I'd like to thank the members for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yay. And then we have a special present, for you.
Oh, thank you so much.
gave-
Thank you.
You gave us so many heavy books. I wanted to give you something heavy. I just give you money. Okay. And then here's my business card. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay. 네, 감사합니다. Okay. All right. 감사합니다. Okay. The SGI members will leave, but you guys stay. Our second speaker will come. 네, 감사합니다. 네, 감사합니다. 여러분들 많이 있어요. 여름에 우리 교주가 교교하고
Hi guys. How do I do the screen over here? The screen?
Okay.
The screen.
Oh, you want to turn on the screen?
Mhm.
Sure. Me. Okay, projector on. Okay.
I kind of speak loud, so I don't think I need the mic. Can you guys hear me in the back? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The mic must be a little bit, unless you need to record
Yeah,
it.
we
Oh,
need
you need to record it?
Yeah. Okay. And then.
Okay.
All right. So you guys have 20 minutes, and
Okay.
then we have Netherlands coming up.
All right. So this is an organizational leadership class or organizational structure? Corporation. Okay. So it's kind of not my field, so forgive me if I don't talk your language. If I wanted to give one of you guys this, would you take it right now? There's nothing bigger than this that I know, unless I guess Chipe is a little bit larger than this. I mean, imagine if this was 500,000 won. Would you take it? If I said, here, you can have this right now, right? But what if I like crumpled it up a little bit, right? Right? And then I said, hey, would you take it? You would take it, right? What's the Korean law? Can I rip up their money? Or is that legal? Will I go to jail if I rip a...
I don't think
I did it by accident on Saturday, and they said it was okay.
Yeah? So you just have...
Still accepted it, so I guess it's okay.
Okay. Well, all right. So if I ripped it, right, would you guys still take it?
Yes.
Would you guys still take it? Well, that's the organizational structure that God intended. He wanted us to all understand each other's value. He wanted us to all understand we are valuable to Him. He wanted to love every single person because He fashioned them. In Scripture it says He knows exactly how many hairs are on top of our heads. And so He knows the moles on our butts, and He knows the hairy parts that we can't show other people. He knows every piece of hair on us. And that's what God promises us. And I just wanted to share that with you guys and let you know that I was sitting in your position not too long ago. I'm 37 in American age. Korean, they give you an extra year, so I'm 38. I'm going to briefly introduce myself because I know that I don't have that much time. That's my family. Yeah.
Oh, the project. Wait.
Is that on button?
Yeah.
Okay, well.
No, keep on talking.
Okay. And so, there was the, how many of you guys know 1986, there's a rocket ship called the Challenger. And the Challenger, all the kids, At that time, I was 9 years old. I was in elementary school. And they made all the elementary school students watch this video because on the Challenger was going to be the first teacher, school teacher, on a rocket ship going into space. And so this was a big deal in America. So all the kids were watching it. 74 seconds after launch in 1986, January 26, boom, it exploded. Imagine all the children, they were watching this. It was frightening. Some schools brought psychologists. Some schools tried to, they shut down for a week. But what happened was, oh, thank you. I'll revert back. Thank you so much. Okay. They're a little bit older now. This was 2011, so this is Isaac and this is Isaiah, my wife Joy. And so this Challenger, they're trying to figure out, we spent billions of dollars. We're one of the biggest corporations. We're one of the biggest organizational structures. And we're trying to figure out, why did this go wrong? How can this have exploded as soon as it left Earth? And they brought in all kinds of scientists, specialists, everybody they could bring in. Nobody could figure out why it exploded, and so except one person. And that person was a linguist. What he studied was language. He said, you guys didn't have the language to figure out this problem. You guys were communicating back and forth numbers, dimensions, heat, all these things. But you guys did not know how to talk about this part melting. And so he said it was a language problem. And I believe that what we see today around the world, if we understand that the world, in the Old Testament, you don't have to believe any of this, but what happened was they were building this tower, and they were building it so high that God says, you know what, since they're communicating so well, they're so easily going to destroy the world because they have this one common language and they got this one common purpose. They're going to destroy the world. I'm going to give them different languages and different nations. And so from that point on, all of us started spreading around the world, and now we have all different colors. We all have different languages, and God intended that because what he really wanted to do was this. And it's scripture. It's in John. It's not. I didn't want to put my own words into it. And this is Jesus before he's about to die, about to go on the cross. He wasn't a real person. He did exist on this earth. 11 people would not give up their lives following this man unless he was real. And these 11 people that followed Jesus, one was Judas. He would hang himself. But the other 11, they would give up their lives in India. They would give their lives in Africa. They would give up their life in Rome. And even one of them, they all died a martyr's death. But people will not die for a lie. People will die for what they believe is true. Why did, in September 11th, why did 2 planes go directly into 2 towers? It's because these people believe that when they die, they will get a hero's welcome in heaven. They'll get 72 virgins. They really believed it. There's a difference. The lady talked about compassion, right? But how do we have compassion? Compassion only starts from a heart of conviction. How many of you guys drive? Nobody here drives? Well, I drive, and there's a speed limit. And the speed limit will say 60, but I'm driving 70 kilometers per hour. It's because my heart's not convicted to go under 60. I know it's wrong up here. I know what's right up here, but my heart doesn't lead me towards that because I'm not convicted to change for that. And the only way we can have compassion for others is if we have a conviction. Why are the Christians going underground? Why do I want to go to North Korea? Why would I want to give up my life? Why are all these crazy Christians? It's because they operate from a place of conviction. And that's a difference between compassion. Conviction creates a different worldview. How can South Korea, on Monday, you guys took very offensive to the multicultural thing, right? But how does a nation have multiculturalism? How can a nation invite other nations? Where does that worldview come? Well, you know what? Korea was known as a hermit kingdom. It was known as a place where, when Robert Thomas, when he came here, was one of the first missionaries. When he got on the beach, they killed him right on the spot. He didn't even get to tell anybody about Jesus. What happened? He was throwing Bibles off the ship. It was burning. General Marshall's ship was burnt, Admiral Marshall, And he jumped off the ship and he started throwing out Bibles to people. And on that spot, as he was giving his last Bible to this one person, that guy, he got stabbed with a sword. What drives a man to cross a sea to a people that they don't even know? Underwood, if you know, Yonsei University was started by a missionary, Underwood. When he first came to Korea, he said, I don't even see the trees growing. There's no schools, there's no hospitals, there's nothing here on this. I don't see anybody. And you know what? When I try to talk to people, they just walk away from me. How did a nation that people rejected other nations, how does that nation become such a multicultural city? This is one of the most multicultural cities expanding today. Did you know that? 2011, there was about 600,000 foreigners. 2013-14, right, went from 1.5 to 2 million. There are 2 million foreigners now in Seoul. What allows this type of multiculturalism? It's a worldview. It's a view of a people that says, you know what, it's not about my nation. It's about what university started. Charlemagne started in the 800s. He said, you know what, we need to get people educated. We need to create a system, and we need to create it. But who is doing this? You know what, let's partner with the churches and start building schools and give them free education. And that became universities. University means unity in diversity. The whole reason why universities was formed so that we can have multi-thoughts coming together and unify as one. And so Jesus was saying, my prayer is not for them alone, not for just the believers, not just for those that are in this circle. It's for all those who will believe this message, that they will all become one. Just as the Father, you and I are one. How many of you guys are one with your Father? Let me ask you 3 questions. How many of you guys know that your mom and... Okay, let's all keep our hands up. I'm going to assume that everybody's going to say yes to this, and if it's a no, lower your hands. How many of you guys grew up feeling, knowing, convicted that your mom and dad both love you? Lower your hands if that's not true. How many of you guys saw your mom and dad and you saw their marriage and said, you know what, I truly want to love my husband and wife just like my mom and dad? Keep your hands up. That's how you want to love your wife? You want to love your husband? And third question is, how many of you guys want to be exactly like your mom and dad? Whoa, what happened?
There's one left.
There's 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm glad. I'm so glad. And you see, we live in this world where we don't want to be like them. We live in this world where we idealistically think that we're going to do something better. Not knowing what perpetuated it, not knowing what caused it, not knowing what languages brought that situation. Why is there divorce? Why is there fragmentation in the world? Why do we have all these things? It's because it's an identity issue. What she was talking about, I agree with her. Every single thing she said. We need to do everything that she said. I believe in nobility. I believe that we need to have compassion. But how do we have compassion? Only through conviction. And the only way we get conviction is through knowing who we are. And how many... Right now, we go through 4 stages in life. The first stage in life is awe. All of you guys, remember when we first saw a balloon, you were tugging on the balloon and it was so exciting. You could let go of the balloon, it'll go up, you want to grab it. You could let go of the balloon and you want to grab it. That was when you were kids. Everything was awesome. You guys ever see Legos? Lego World? The Legos movie? Everything is awesome. When you're a kid, everything is awesome. If a chair all of a sudden is round and it spins, it becomes like the greatest thing, and you sit on it and spin and spin and spin, and you can spin all day. But you know what? As you grow older, you lose the awe factor. You need something else to give you awe. It's no longer Pac-Man. It has to be World of Warcraft. It has to change. Things have to be more awesome because your attention factor to those things, you start losing it. And then the second stage of life, you start going through this identity issue. And when you're in college, that's what you're going through. It's like you're forming your identity. Who am I? What am I supposed to do? What's my purpose? What's my job? What's all these things? How am I going to be as a husband? How am I going to be as a boyfriend or girlfriend? You go through this identity stage. And some people never grow out of it. They live 60, 70 years not never knowing who they really are. And then we go through this next stage of relationship. We want community. You saw those group. She showed a video of a group of people wanting to share their life. Well, that's built in all of us. It was never meant to be alone. That's why God The Christian God, we believe God is community. He's a full Trinity. He has perfect relationship, Father, Son, and Spirit. It was meant to be that all the world be perfect in unity. He always intended it for that. And that's why when a Christian sees North Korea and they see there's something dysfunctional. There's something when people are starving, dying, when people cannot watch, they only have one channel to watch on TV. That it just for identity. When their identity is secure, that there's this loving Father and I'm His child and He loves me just as I am. There's certain words in our vocabulary that we take out. And we don't have it in our vocabulary, like the word grace. If I say the word grace, it comes from the Greek word charis. The word grace means a gift freely given. How many of you guys have celebrated a birthday? Did you earn your birthday gifts? She goes, yeah, I earned my bicycle. No, but honestly, people just give. But the thing is, we have to have a world of grace. That's the only way we're going to solve the problems. But the problem is that when I'm on a sub and I see a drunk person falling, I saw a young lady. I was on the Bundang line. She just fell flat to her face, phone cracked. Guess what? This is the people on the subway. She didn't earn my care. She didn't earn me. I don't need to go over there and talk to that person. She didn't do anything for me. Why do I need to do anything for her? It's because we don't have a culture of grace. A culture of grace is like, that's my brother, that's my sister, and if that's my brother and that's my sister, how would I treat her? How would I honor her, respect her, and lift her up and get her to where she needs to go? The whole message of the Good Samaritan, that's what it is. And when we have a worldview that's devoid of grace, we take that language out. It's like a rocket shuttle. It leaves, it takes off, it explodes, it ends. And that's the kind of world we live in, and we take out certain words. And grace is not just giving somebody something, someone you like, something like giving him one of these. No. See, we live in a world of tolerance. It's like, I'll tolerate gay people. I'll tolerate other religions. I'll tolerate that. But you know what? I'm not going to show them grace. But you see, grace is giving something they never deserved, and maybe they shouldn't even have it, but willing to give it to them. And that's the worldview that God is trying to give the world. And he said, make them one as you and I are one. In Malachi 4:6, the last book of the Old Testament, the last verses of the Old Testament, 400 years after that, that's when Christ came. 400 years, the prophets were silent. Nobody was speaking words of revelation into the people. And so for 400 years, they were silent. But Malachi said this. He said, there's going to be a time when the restoration will be, the fathers' hearts will return to the children, and the children's hearts will return to the fathers. What brought me here is I want to see reconciliation. See, I'm from a people called Chosun. Right? My name is Chosun, by the way, my Korean name. But Chosun is a people in 1897 was the last time the Joseon dynasty survived. And after that, it became occupied. And then once Japanese occupation came, people stayed in their relative areas. So we have Joseon people in China, in Mongolia, in Japan. In 1940, I shared this before, I think. They were brought over to Japan to build the railroads, to build the airports, because in 1945, the Japanese brought the labor force over there. Let me go back to this question, guys. What breeds multiculturalism? There's less than 1%, less than 0.5% Christians in Japan. They will never have a multicultural revolution without a transformation, a conviction, a people saying that we want to reach the world. We want to help the world. You know, this nation, South Korea, sends 40,000 missionaries. It's the largest sending missionary nation next to U.S. It's one of the largest populated evangelical nations also. The only on this side of the hemisphere, more than 10% Christians is South Korea. Only nation on this side of the hemisphere. And I'm not trying to promote Christianity, guys. I'm trying to give you statistics, and I'm trying to make you guys realize. On this side of the hemisphere, the IMB, you guys can do the research. It's called the International Mission Board. It's the largest missionary arm of the largest Protestant denomination called the Southern Baptist Convention. They do annual reports. They do annual surveys. And what they figured out, and if you look at the underground church movement and saw the density of the underground church movement in China, it is denser as you get closer to Korea. Why are 40,000 people per day coming to Jesus? It's because they're convicted. They saw what the worldview that they were fed was all about themselves, and they said, that's not enough.
We just have a couple of minutes left.
Oh, questions.
So I want to do
Questions.
Yeah, Q&A. Okay. Sure. Any questions or comments?
Push back as far as you can. I mean, I'm here. I love you guys. Yes. Well, okay. No, Japan is losing their migrant workforce to Korea right now. Japan, if you've been there, some of you guys have, and I love Japan. I was there 2 weeks ago. I love the people of Japan. I'm trying to learn their language. Konnichiwa, you know? And I love the people of Japan. But the thing is, you go there, not many people will speak English to you. Right? Not many people, because they don't feel the sense of need to do this. They are a self-sustaining nation. And when you're a self-sustaining nation with a worldview that says, we're not here to get help or give help, we can do it. When you have that worldview, it stays inward. It becomes a hermit kingdom. So it's going to become what Korea used to be, is the direction that Japan has gone. And so they don't allow foreign cars to come into their nation. They don't allow foreign things. If you drive it would be a miracle to find a Korean car there. But you see a Japanese car here. You'll see an American car here, a German car here. Right? What my proposition is that is there a link between multiculturalism, globalization, right, with a greater plan, maybe of God. Maybe God brought you to this city. Maybe there is a God who has a purpose for your life. Maybe there is a God that loves you, and he wants to be your father, and wants to give you grace, and wants you to have this kingdom identity. Because what Christ was all about was the kingdom. It wasn't about an earthly kingdom, but it says, thy kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. Bring this beautiful kingdom down to earth.
Anyway, so no, that's fine. Was there some other questions or comments? Okay.
Did that make sense?
Yes.
Yes. I guess from a social science point of view, it's very interesting because Steve is from America, okay, but historically, like, Koreans, they get away from Korea, right? But Steve grew up in America, but decided to come back to Korea.
Well, it's actually not even coming back for me. It's just coming.
Just coming because you were like born and raised, right?
I lived all my life in the U.S. It's my first time living in a new country.
Okay, and so it's interesting how like religion is a big factor that brings a lot of people from all around the world to come to Korea to kind of start something new. And then is it the Korean part or the Christian part, or what?
Well, I think the church had a major reformation in the 1500s. Martin Luther, 1517 or 1512, he put the 95 Theses and said, there's something wrong with the church today. And he put this thing, and I believe there's a new reformation. Back then, people did not have the Bible. And so it wasn't translated in another language. Only the high priests, only the Catholic Church could tell you the Bible in Latin Vulgate. But what happened was there was a revolution, a reformation of the church. It's kind of like a kid growing up, becoming a teenager. But I think there's another stage. This teenager is going to grow up to be an adult. And the next stage is to give the ministry to the people. It's saying that not only we want to teach you the Bible, but we want you to live it out. And that's why you see Christianity has failed society today. It's because we keep telling people, come learn, come learn, come learn, come learn. It's because the language. Remember how the Challenger blew up? Well, there was a wrong language in the Christian church, and there is the right language. We've taken certain words out like apostolos. We said there's no more apostles. In modern-day Christian seminaries, universities will teach Christians there's no more apostles. But the Bible doesn't say there's no more apostles. The word apostolos means to be sent.